What's up, guys? My name is Trei Hill, and this is the new Filmosophy. And this episode, I've never done this before. I'm really excited. This is my first time actually meeting this filmmaker. This is Vasco Alexandre. All right, how you doing, man?
Fine, man. Thank you for inviting me for this.
Good, man. I'm glad. Yeah, we actually he Vasco linked with me. He saw that I had gotten into a international film festival out in Amsterdam, and he got into it as well. And I guess he was deciding whether or not he wanted to make the trouble to go over and travel. And I just gave him, some advice about it, man. And I and we IG'd a couple of times, and I was just like, you know what? I was like, this guy's interesting, man. I think there's a little bit more here, man. So for the first time in Filmosophy history, guys, these are two filmmakers getting to know each other, So I'm looking forward to it, and it's with Enter the Void. It's based on Enter the Void by directed by Gaspar Noé. And it is a film that inspired actually Child Indigo, an important scene in Child Indigo, a short film that I did for my thesis when I graduated at SCAD Atlanta. And I'll get into that later. But first of all, me and Vasco are going to get to know each other. We're going to get to know Vasco by my asking you a few questions. Is that cool?
Yeah, sure, man. Go for it.
Cool.
Well, it's good to be with you today.
What's that?
No, I was saying that I was inspired as well for my not graduation film, but before that, like my first year at uni or second year, I've done something inspired in Gaspar Noé as well, and since before university, before shooting any film, I always watched any film from Noé. It was such a great inspiration. It's good to be with somebody, to talk to somebody with the same, inspiration as well.
And I'm sorry, I said his last name wrong, so it's Noé, right?
Well, I don't know actually, man. Like different. I've heard people spelling it in different ways. Like I spell it Gaspar Noé because I'm Portuguese, gotcha. But my girlfriend is Spanish. She spells it like Gaspar Noé or. How do you spell it exactly?
I spell it Noe, but I say no. But I guarantee you that my American tongue is the most improper way of saying it. I guarantee it. So it's fine. That's cool, man. No, I mean, I'm really excited about the fact that you're so into him because I was advised to watch. I honestly can't remember what made me watch Enter the Void. Specifically, I'm always nerding out reading into something, and it popped up. I think one of the scenes popped up on something I was reading or on a web series or something, and I watched the movie and I was just completely floored. So what do you like so much about Gaspar Noé? Like you've seen several of his films, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I think I've seen pretty much all of these films. Yeah, Climax, Irreversible, Love, Standalone. Enter the Void is my favorite one. I think technically and narrative-wise, I think it was the one that stood out the most for me throughout my filmmaking years. I always come back to it, as I said, so it's definitely a huge inspiration. Enter the Void was the film that made me get into Gaspar Noé. And check out these other films. So definitely,
that's great.
It's a great film, man.
That's great, man.
Have you seen all his films?
Cool, man. I gotta watch more of them. This is the only one I've seen of his. So you're gonna encourage me to. I'll let you know as I'm knocking them off. I'll let you know what I think about them.
The last one, Climax, is I don't know, man.
Climax.
Come back to me when you watch it.
All right. That'll be the next one. That'll be the next one I watch, okay?
Okay.
Cool, man.
Actually, I don't know if it's I don't know how you do, like if you start watching a specific director's filmography, if you go in chronological order, or if you don't mind to watch like the last one and then the first one, but I personally like to see in chronological order to follow the development of the director.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see that in Climax, Noé is, in a way, he got famous because of his aggressive style.
Mm-hmm.
And he had lots of trouble when he was young to find financing from production companies, obviously, because his scripts were really, extreme.
Yeah.
And,
I could
and,
imagine.
like in Irreversible, he has this rape scene
Right.
with Monica Bellucci.
Mm.
And imagine going to a production company, to pitch your film, your idea, your script, and you tell them, look, I have these 10 minutes or whatever rape scene, and the camera just stands there the whole time without moving, and there is no cuts, there is no anything, and
Wow.
you just witness this scene for 10 minutes. How can you get funding with that?
Right.
So throughout his career, he got famous because of this aggressive style, and it was much easier for him to fund his next project if he kept to that, brand. And I believe Climax, his last film, is too commercial in that sense. I believe is too, it's too much of the same in a way. It's like it's not being original anymore. It's not being genuine anymore. It's just doing it to keep up, getting money and
making the next films just so he can make the next film. Yeah, I'm afraid a lot of filmmakers get caught up in a loop of their own work. It kind of reminds me of like with M. Night Shyamalan when he kept on giving all of those crazy surprise endings. And then he became gimmicky. It's like we weren't surprised anymore by the crazy ending because that was like his thing, right? So I think that happens to a lot of us. Is like we work so much to get to the point where we are in a safe place where we feel like we can get another project done, to only get in that position and kind of get trapped in it, right? Is a thing, I guess.
Actually, I don't remember now any filmmaker that completely surprised me. Any director that do you think of any at the moment?
Man, I
I mean, like a director that changed completely his style throughout his career. I don't remember any at the moment.
Yeah, I can't think of it. I mean, filmmaking is really tough, man. You could spend 3 or 4 lifetimes really trying to figure it out, and I feel like it's you kind of get in this place. I feel like, and I've done shorts. I haven't done a feature yet, but I feel like you get to a place where you're like, oh, people like this. Let me keep doing this, right? It's safer, but because there's millions of dollars on the line, you're gonna rip your heart out of your body for the next X amount of months, years, whatever, and you just want like the path of least resistance, right? So maybe you're right. Maybe I'm trying to make a film. I mean, there's filmmakers whose styles I appreciate, but who surprises me with their movie. You're right, man. I don't know.
Yeah, as you say, it's tough. Once you get your style and it works, is really because it's mostly when you are in the beginning of your career, you want to stick to it. Like my last short film, Yard Things, it had really specific style. It was social realism, and I tried to be as gritty and rough as possible. And now, anytime I'm trying to write a new idea, naturally my mind always goes to that place. Like I always naturally tend to write social realism more because I know it worked before in the past, so I know I'm comfortable in that style, and it's so tricky to try to do something new. So I completely understand.
Yeah, and Child Indigo is very much a sci-fi film, and I love sci-fi. I love dealing with real life issues in a sort of fantastical way, and that honestly I thought was gonna be my niche, and I don't know what. Still, I really don't know what my niche will end up being, but. Then right after that, I had a situation where my writing buddy of mine, he passed away of cancer. And so I got really passionate yeah, man, and I appreciate it. And I really wanted to make his movie, his coming of age story that he had wrote. So the last short film that I wrote was his coming of age story. So it was very much more grounded. We were out in the woods with these 4 young, Black American boys, following them around. It was very real. It was a very it was like a Southern contemporary realism type thing, Southern American contemporary Southern realism type thing. So I really enjoyed that. And then most recently, I was just trying to get something done before all of the people that I graduated with, all of their prices were going to go up to have them on set. So I just rented out an Airbnb and I did a quick, funny, dark comedy, and just got a couple of actors and we just hung out for the weekend and shot this cool dark comedy. So those are 3 completely different films. But who knows if but I'm telling you, if one works, right? What's the next project I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do that, right? But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. But hold on. I just realized we're going to be able to hear a bunch of stuff out here if I don't move this wall over here. So give me 1 sec. I got to move this wall over here real quick. But can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. Yeah, man. So you're from Portugal. Are you there now?
No, yeah, I'm from Portugal, from Lisbon, and I'm in Edinburgh right now in the UK.
Okay, in the UK.
I moved to London when I was about 21 years old, I guess. Mm-hmm. Then I went to Madrid, came back to London, and now I'm in Edinburgh. And then next year, I don't know. Let's see. Probably somewhere else. I want to go to America, man.
Come on by.
Where are you from in America?
Come on, man.
Where are you from exactly?
You're
from New York?
No, so I am from Maryland. Maryland is just outside Washington, D.C. So I'm from there, but right now, I was a production assistant like up and down the East Coast for years. And then me and my wife moved down to Atlanta. We've been here for about, I guess, almost 4 years now.
Oh.
So yeah, man, I'm here. Come on through. It's a really big... What's that?
Now, go on. You were saying?
No, I was just gonna say it's a really big film community here, a really big indie film community here, man. So, I'm able to operate outside of. Well, of course, I have my alumni, like I told you, the people that I went to school with at SCAD Atlanta, but I'm able to operate very well independently, along with. Working on bigger sets, just because there's so many people here that want to do kind of the same thing that we're doing, So, yeah.
I feel like here in the UK, the independent, industry is really small. Like you have the big boys, the big stuff going on, and
Pinewood Studios and all that.
Say again?
Said Pinewood Studios and all that, right?
Yeah. It's tough to find, funding and even conditions to shoot an independent project, because here the laws in the UK are so tricky. Mm-hmm. If you want to shoot somewhere, you need to go through all these regulations, and mm-hmm. it's not like in Portugal or Spain or I lived for a while in Germany as well. Mm-hmm. for some months, and much easier there as well. If you want to just go out there and shoot mm-hmm. with your friend, you can do it. Here in the UK, if you put a tripod in the middle of the street, you need to fill up a lot of bureaucratic paperwork, and it's tough.
Yeah.
But I feel like in America is much easier. You can just get a crew, like your friends or wherever, and you can go out there with some gear, some like minimal kit, and you can shoot a film if you want.
Yeah.
That's my idea. Tell me if I'm wrong. That's my idea. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I believe you're pretty accurate in that. I have not experienced now. My wife is from Amsterdam, and she knows a lot of filmmakers out there. I've spoken with a few there, and I guess it is. They don't have too much trouble, I guess, filming there. But when talking about, I know I hear about L.A. In L.A., in New York. And in DC, honestly, it can be tough. You might be able to get away if you're outside filming. You might be able to get away for an hour or two if you got a school badge. Maybe you can flash that and they'll let you slide. But for the most part, my experience has been, yeah. I mean, you can figure it out. Even if it's if you're lucky and your grandma has a summer beach house or something, and you can film there for the summer or something. Airbnb is really famous around my community of filmmakers. It's really easy for us to just rent a house out and just like write a small story that we can just keep inside of a house. But shooting outside has not been much of an issue for me. I did a lot of shooting outside in the state of Virginia and in the state of Georgia, and it's not a big deal. Yeah, yes, I tend to do things properly. I do the permitting and I do all that stuff because they're not that expensive where I'm at. So yeah, I think that's an accurate assumption. It seems like it is a little tougher where you've been. So when's the last film that you made? Was that in Portugal?
No, that was in London.
Nice.
That was my graduation film in London, and it worked. Apparently,
Nice.
it worked. Like it won a Royal Television Society Student Award, which is the biggest competition for students in the UK, and that really put our name out there. People actually watched the film, and people came back to me with feedback, and like people all over the country. So that was a big step in this stage of my career. That gave me motivation to keep working. That was cool. Now I'm in Edinburgh doing doing a master degree, and I've got a couple of projects on the side.
Mm-hmm.
It's going great, man. Like I'm feeling, this is the time. I'm feeling as creative as I could be.
Yeah, you got the juices flowing, man. Yeah,
like being in a different city, as well, always brings up the creativity on you. It's good. Do you travel?
Yes, man. I just came from Liberia, my first visit to Africa. I just came back a few days ago.
Oh, nice. How was it, man?
Oh my gosh. It was the best vacation I've been on. I can't say that around my wife. She gets jealous. It's the one vacation she didn't go to, so she hates me that I say that. But it was my first time in Africa. Being a Black American, it's kind of a thing that, go back home, go back to the motherland, go to the continent where your people are the majority, right? And that was my first time there, and it was just the good and the bad there. It was just such a great experience, such a fulfilled experience, and it was a good friend of mine getting married, so it was beautiful.
Oh, nice, man, nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man.
So I was saying that, like you travel usually, so when you travel, you open your mind to new experiences, and that always brings up your creative side. And
yes.
I kind of got addicted to that feeling, so that's why I always move around so much. I change countries all the time, because every time I experience a new culture, I tend to observe and see how things work, and that gives me ideas for stories, and it's a good thing.
That's so beautiful.
I really like that. As a filmmaker, I think it's important to experience different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. You get reinvigorated.
Lots of ideas for your next film.
Yeah, exactly. You get reinvigorated. I mean, I really did, man. I've been working. I'm really hoping that my first feature can be what I've been working on, for my buddy's coming of age story. But man, when I was in Liberia, I was talking with some people that could possibly make some things shake, and I was just getting so inspired and just talking to them about it and everything, I'm like, that spawned a whole other thing in me. And I feel like, and you're talking about with Gaspar Noé and how he stuck to his guns, and it was tough for him to get finances because he wasn't trying to fit in a box to get it filmed. He was writing what he wanted to get done. And I do think that passion is really necessary for us, especially in features, but just on any of our projects, it has to come from a genuine place of passion and curiosity and servitude, really wanting to tell a story that you feel like needs to be told. And that fire's got to burn so strong because we have to survive, all the no's and all of the rejection and all of the stuff that happens, and we have to see it all the way through. And it's really important to find that. I'm glad that you figured out how to find that fire for you to get your things accomplished,
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate with what you just said, man. Like, and it's really tough today, like, to have a different idea, and to pitch it to get funding, and
Mm-hmm.
I always these guys are my idols. These guys, like, Noé, obviously, and Sebastian Schipper with Victoria. I don't know if you've seen that film, the German film Victoria. 2015. It's a one take. It's a oneer.
Oh, I heard of that. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I haven't watched it.
How can you pitch that idea?
Right.
Like, I'm gonna make a 2 hours film, a 2 hours one take film, in which the camera operator goes literally everywhere. He goes to the roof. He goes to the club. He goes there. He rides a bike. He goes in a car. He goes there and there and there. How are you gonna stick to your guts, as you say, to your originality, to your creativity, to your feeling this is gonna work in industry, where is everything ruled by, second intentions to, commercial intentions. It's really hard sometimes, even if you have that creativity, to make it, to get funding to do that project. So I believe a lot of people actually have creativity, but they are not afraid, they just cannot do it sometimes. Yeah. And that's sad,
Yeah,
because we're psychos. We're psycho filmmakers trying to do the impossible every time out. It's, I mean, I respect so much. That's why, like, I feel like that's why I love movies so much, because the more and more I learn about them, the more and more I'm in awe at it being completed and making it to distribution. And I'm just like, how did you get people galvanized and get the people around you, the talented people around you, and how did you pay them, and how did you get them excited, and how what the style, like watching Enter the Void. Like, I was just reading, I didn't get to finish reading this article that the VFX guy that was talking about just how they had sewed up all the shots. You probably know the same article, like just how they sewed up all the shots and how they were just kind of improvising. I'm like, how did you improv this freaking movie? It's so beautiful, man.
And the guy doesn't even do a storyboard, or
right.
Like, and like, it's, most of it is improvised, and even Irreversible was, I think the script had like 3 pages or something. How can you have like 15, 20 people crew, and you still have a script supervisor, you still have a first, second, third AD, you still have like a couple of runners, this and that. How can you manage this whole crew without preparation, without marked script, storyboard, blah blah blah.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of storyboarding and marking scripts and sometimes I like to go and see what happens on set, and I'm completely down for it.
Right.
But when you have $10 million to make a film, sometimes you just need to do it. You have like 50 people in your crew, like they need to know what they are doing.
Right.
And this guy, he has the ability to transmit his vision and to make other people trust him in a way that it's just unbelievable. Like everybody just trusts him. He's Gaspar Noé, so let's do it as he wants, and it's going to work.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And it's such a unique vision as well that I find it hard to not transmit that vision to the crew with paperwork.
Right.
I'm talking about paperwork now. But the secret is to gather a crew that knows you really well. And Benoit Deby the cinematographer, has been working with him since his first films. Benoit Deby actually did a Irreversible and I think Climax as well.
Okay.
And Benoit Deby is the cinematographer from Spring Breakers. I don't know if you've seen that film, Spring Breakers, with James Franco and.
Yes. I haven't seen it. I know what you're talking about though. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same cinematographer, man. It reminds me a lot of Christopher Doyle. The same style.
I can see that.
Like using the neon lights and the colors.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Giving us epilepsy. Yeah. All the colors. No, man. No, I mean, I feel like, cause I'm the complete opposite in that. See, I want to plan so that I can improv, and I don't necessarily always work with the same people too. So I'm I'm kind of a control freak in that, where it's like I want to understand and write everything, and I want to know that I want to have the meetings and have spoken with my cinematographer so many times, like gone through the shot list so many times, so that when we're on set now, I'm not that rigid once I'm on set. Once I'm on set, we had planned and we practiced this stuff, but now let's oh, cool, this will be cool. Or now the actor is doing something or taking it somewhere, or now the the size of the place, or something else has introduced itself and we should go that direction. I'm constantly balancing that, and also to not have the time and the money, I also feel like that can be a crutch too, because if you don't have the time and the money to plan, sometimes that you may not. I don't have the infrastructure to be that way, so that I try to gravitate more towards, and I feel like that's what I did with this movie in the Airbnb. I really tried to gear myself more towards an improvisational. Don't worry. Don't plan. Don't worry that you didn't figure out all the shots and talk about it to everybody. Like, let's just get there and just make it work. So I'll send you that one too. I have a first cut of that. You'll have to let me know how I did with that one. You can compare it to Child Indigo, which I was definitely over analyzed, but I want to get into the episode though, man. We can still get to talking and stuff. This is so cool. Thank you guys for checking this out, man. I'm getting to know an awesome filmmaker right now, man. This is so cool, man. So feel so lucky. Thanks for reaching out, Vasco. Now, the question that I ask everybody, and you don't have to feel like that there's a right or wrong answer to this, and I honestly think you already answered it, but what is your filmosophy?
Wow. That's good.
It's deep. It's deep, my man. Roll up another cigarette, man. This is deep. This is deep.
Yeah. Let me think. I talked about Victoria Sebastian Chip. I think that's my feel. What I get from that question is, why do you love cinema? Why do you make cinema? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I love traveling, and I love, for example, Enter the Void. I haven't done yet DMT, but I can imagine pretty well how is it, the experience.
Right.
And when I've seen Victoria from Sebastian Schipper,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need to go to Berlin and spend one night with those guys to know how it is to be in Berlin with those guys. Like I can see exactly how would that be one night there. And I think that's pretty much it. It's about traveling in our minds. It's about being.
Wow.
A lot of people doesn't have the opportunity or the money to travel and to experience new cultures and to meet new people or to be in specific situations. And if we have the luck to go through those situations, I feel like it's not that we should show them to other people, but we have the power to show them those experiences, to show another side of life to those people, and to share experiences, because then I'm sharing my experiences and the other filmmaker is sharing his experience, and in the end we are building up this universal conscience of experiences, and we all know how life works and how the world works because we've seen so many different work from different people. And I think that's beautiful, man, and that's why I love cinema, and that's why I want to keep sharing my experiences.
That's so beautiful, Vasco. I love this, man. Like that. I mean, what you say when you're talking about, because you love traveling. I mean, it's so simple, but yet so it has so many depths, because when we're watching these movies and we're experiencing these different places and different feelings, we went to the afterlife. And Enter the Void. We traveled to the afterlife. We when we're watching Lion King, we're traveling to the Serengeti, right? And for you to say so simply, us as filmmakers giving people almost a passport, man. We're almost giving people this opportunity to experience a new place, right? I love that, Vasco. Vasco's the man, y'all.
Tell me about you, man. What's your filmosophy? Sorry, my English today is not the best. What is your filmosophy?
No, you're fine. It's a mouthful. I made the word up, so I didn't make it up, but it's not a real word. Anyway, I mean, my filmosophy. I always say in more than one ways. I always say that it's about having an opportunity to escape. My filmosophy is that we do so much on a day-to-day that can feel very average. It can feel kind of we can kind of get lost in a rat race, whether it's making money, whether it's going to school or going to work or whatever. If you're having tough times, no matter what, or if you can, whether it's you're going on a date, whether it's you just sitting down at home, you kind of get this meditative experience to submerge yourself, whether that's in somebody else's perspective, or whether it's something that you agree with, whether it helps you grow or whether it establishes or confirms things that you might already feel. I just think it's an opportunity to kind of be meditative and escape. And you got 2 hours, you got a couple of hours to just kind of chill and enjoy and experience like as raw as possible, and one of the most complex arts that we have available right now.
Yeah, man. That's beautiful.
My man, this is beautiful. We haven't even talked about the movie yet.
That's why but I'm gonna say something about the movie actually. No, I think another point why I find cinema so interesting is that if I see a movie when I'm 15 years old and I come back to it when I'm 20 and 25 and 30 and 35, I always see it with a different perspective, So in a way, it's something that makes you compare yourself to your young self. For example, Enter the Void. I remember I've seen it when it came out, and I've seen it recently, and I've seen it obviously a couple of days ago, just to refresh my mind for conversation. And every time I see it, I have a different perspective of the film and of myself as well.
Yeah. That's real talk.
So it's really interesting to, as a filmmaker, it's tricky to make a film like that, and that's one of my goals. That's something I'll try to do.
Yeah, you and me both, brother. But see, now you're talking about time traveling, which is cool, right? That's another form of traveling, right? It's so cool. It's like dimensional traveling. So let's go ahead and get into the movie again. And again, we can feel free to zip and bounce around, however. But so the film is the point of view of Oscar, and Oscar has he's in Japan, and he's on the balcony, and him and let's see, flying during death. I kind of fast forward in my notes, but when he's in there, he starts doing I guess, was it DMT that he started doing, and before that they were kind of talking about entering what is death. Him and his sister were asking what is entering. It's entering this void, right? And then when she leaves, and then he lays down and has this crazy trip. He's after doing the drugs, he lays down on his bed, and then the phone rings, and we later find out that this is Victor, who's going to be setting him up for his death. He gets up, he gets the drugs so that he can go and make this deal, and his buddy Alex comes with him, and they walk, and as him and Alex are walking, that they start talking about the Tibetan Bible and the Book of Death, and this is foreshadowing the death that's going to happen. It foreshadows this sort of fear that we all can kind of have, of death, and the things that we do. Like he's drug dealing. His sister is stripping. Alex does drugs. Victor, he does his stuff, but it's kind of foreshadowing these things that we do in life to fill this void that we may have, right? And I really appreciate the sort of poetry that is happening as we are coming to his death, as we're about to go to this, epic death scene that happens at the beginning of the movie, right?
Yeah, it's the experience gets even more intensified because we experience everything through his point of view,
Right.
So, and which is really, it's interesting because like we human beings, we are used to experience life. I mean, there is any other way to experience life other than our point of view. And when we see, this scene through his point of view, we find it in a way weird. We get out of our comfort zone, which is quite interesting, actually. We all debated ourselves with these questions, like what happens with us when we die. How am I trying to fill this void with all these experiences? What's the meaning of life, and so on? And I think that being inside this guy's mind and see the world as he sees, while he debates these questions, while he tries to answer to those questions, intensifies the experience much more. I think it's genius. I think it's brilliant.
Oh my gosh. Yes, man. Something that really got me, plenty of things, but when you were just talking, it made me think about when he did first start taking a hit of the drugs, and it's the point of view. And I have not done, I smoke weed, but I haven't really done, any next level stuff before, but like it was very eerie because I felt like I was him, right? Like I was like, man, I was like, I don't know what, if you were on a drug, you probably really could feel this movie on a whole other level, right? But it's just like it's so poignant, you know, this whole point of view thing, and then all the VFX colors and stuff, and the fact that it's non-sequential, you know, I think that's really how we experience life. I think that yeah, we're walking and we're talking and we're seeing things, but we're thinking about things. We smell something and then it takes us back to, we smell popcorn and it takes us back to when we were at the carnival with our mom, and we have that quick little flashback, but then we go to the last conversation that we had with mom, right? And maybe that conversation didn't go well, so now we're mad. And then somebody walks up to you like, hey, and now you're looking at this person, and you know what I mean? It's just like that, like that's what life is. Like like we experience life like in this very non-sequential way that I really appreciate that this movie does, you know?
Yeah, it's so true. And I feel like it's a whole new cinema experience in that sense. I know a lot of people watch this film and they probably get bored. You know, probably they are expecting to be entertained. Probably they are expecting a different film. I look at this film as a poem, as a painting, as an essay. As I look at this film as a reflection on life and as an experience, as an attack to your senses, as a way to make you actually reflect and put yourself out of your comfort zone and think about different stuff.
And so I'm just going back into it. So you know, his sister Linda, she foreshadows, you know, like about this whole situation about people not being his friends and how they're just junkies. And then she turns around and looks at him, see you later, but she won't see him later, you know. She walks out, and the next time she sees him is when she's identifying his body, right? So let's see. It seems like they went. Yeah, it seems like that they went to Japan for more. For, you know, it looks like their parents went there. It was an idea that was planted in their head, and they went there to escape. And I think that, you know, headed by Oscar, they really go into this dark world. He goes to I'm sorry, Victor calls and asks for drugs. It's the setup. Oscar apologizes when he's on the phone with Oscar. He's like, oh, you know, I'm all sorry, you know, and then we come to find out that Oscar was having sex with Victor's mother. And I think that, you know, that says a whole lot, because there's a lot of sex in the movie, and I think that it has a lot to do with, well, of course, it's filling the void. You know, that is like one of the ultimate ways that we're filling voids, right? Is having, is being promiscuous, is having sex, and he you know, he has this sort of sexual innuendo between him and his sister, you know, Oscar and Linda. I think that with them losing we find out when he passes away later on, and he's going through his afterlife, and he's going through his past, his life is flashing before his eyes. We find out that their parents died when they were kids, and they watched it because they were in the back seat, and it was a car accident, a brutal car accident, and they watched their parents instantly die and are like bleeding, right? And they're crying, you know, and it's so hard. I'm realizing how hard this episode is going to be to explain, because everything's so non-sequential. It's like, I'm trying to go in order, but it's like, that happened at the end of the movie, but we're talking about the beginning.
I think we picked the hardest film to explain.
Yes, man. Yes, we can do it. Two filmmaker powers unite. We're gonna make it happen, guys. We're gonna make it happen, guys. But you know, they watched their parents die, man. And my wife is a therapist, and this is just nothing but good old fashioned trauma. I mean, at the end of the day, this is, let's just simply put it, what happens in the film is, he goes to get drug situation set up with Victor, goes to give him drugs, and Victor has set him up because the day before he found out that he was having sex with Victor's mother. And Victor's and Victor doesn't realize, or I don't know how much involved he is because he's high and kind of a junkie himself. But in any event, he gets Oscar sees the Chinese police run in, and he runs inside of the bathroom. He closes the door, and he's throwing the drugs inside of the bathroom, inside of the toilet to get rid of it. And he's saying, "Oh, hey, I'll call the embassy." And that's what let me know he was American, because Americans, we feel like all we can do is just call the government, and we're the most important country in the world, so everybody will come and save us because we're American. But no, you are put yourself in this dark world, in a very dark world, out in Japan, and these crooked cops. And then he also says, "I got a gun," and that was when they went on and pow pow. And this is the point of view where you see the bullet hit his chest, and then I was just so moved by this scene, and I'll tell you about my short film. I was so moved by this scene, and really it's the visuals, but it's also like being in somebody's head as they're dying. Like that is so crazy to me. He's saying, they shot me. Did they kill me? I don't want to die. They're going to test my blood. My sister, jail. Like, these are the things that's what we're thinking. This isn't real, is it? Oh no, I can't feel my arms.
He keeps thinking even though he cannot move,
Right.
And there is some theories that say that when you die, your brain keeps active for a while, and even though you cannot move your body, it's terrifying, like to see that, to actually experience that through his point of view.
Oh my gosh, yes, right? Yeah, like it was so visceral to me. Like when I first experienced it, or when I first watched it, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this guy, it just felt real. It felt like these are the thoughts that are going through your head. You're dealing with whether or not this is really happening. Then you're like, oh my gosh, who's gonna who's gonna cry? Who's gonna be worried about me? What am I not going to be able to do? What was I just about to do that I can't do because I'm about to die now? It's like all these thoughts swirling through your head, and then no, this isn't happening. And then the lights go out, and then he just floats out of his body. He's looking at himself, and then he starts floating around. Now, I want to go back to the whole catalyst of this was him having sex with the. First it's him being a drug dealer. And when he first went to Japan and he met Alex told him not to get involved with drug dealing. Oscar and his sister, they promised each other that they'd stay together forever after their parents died. But unfortunately, child services split them up when they were staying with their grandparents. And so this was his opportunity. He really wanted to get his sister out in Japan to live with him, but he didn't have the money to get a ticket for her. So then so he's wondering how this is going to work. And so he starts selling drugs. And that was kind of the beginning of the end. Because, he just gets involved in this dark world. And he's just this American kid by himself there, and eventually, and you're using the drugs. There's a saying in the streets, in America, he's like, never get high on your own supply. Do you guys ever have anything like that? Never get high on your own supply.
Yeah, we have our own expressions in Portugal, some similar to that. Yeah, I know perfectly what it means.
Right.
But yeah, definitely that's, it's interesting to see that throughout the film, he always rejects the fact that drug dealing is a dangerous thing, so that that tells me that his character is really naive in a way.
And excuse me, all of you guys, I gotta wipe my nose while you're talking. I'm
I was gonna say, there was a pretty accurate description of the plot. Actually, it's interesting. I'm surprised how you can actually describe the plot in such a coherent, like in such a linear way.
Thank you. That is not how you experience it, though, right? That is not how we experiencing it at all.
You make it sound like a linear narrative, like a proper film.
And it is not that at all.
I'm here listening to you, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, this happens. When you are watching the film, everything is so, because as you said, like time is not accurate in the film, so it's
right.
circled, the present, future, and past. They are all mixed up, and it's obviously you keep track of what happens in the film, but you live it through these. You live it in a different way. I think.
Yeah. One of my writing teachers, I appreciate him saying a long time ago, you watch a movie the first time to experience it as a filmmaker, and then you watch it, the second and the third time as you watch the first time as a film lover, and then you watch it the second and third time as a filmmaker. So I think that this second time that I watched it is when I really kind of understood the linearity of the story. At first, the first time I did, I was just experiencing it, and I was just like, "Whoa, what just happened?" But then when I just watched it, it felt a little. I could kind of pinpoint things, and it's trying to figure out how to, as a filmmaker, you're always trying to figure out how to articulate, your vision, and so I kind of try to challenge myself to do that, And the other catalyst, that I was going to allude to when we're talking about him having sex with Susie, with Victor's mother, is we're talking about filling the void, in life. And you see how when he's going back into his life and he goes back to, getting washed in the bath by his mother, and they're naked and her breasts are in his face. And then he goes to when he's a baby and he's being breastfed, and Alex says that, man, sometimes smoking a cigarette feels like I'm drinking drinking milk from my mother's nipple,
Oh yeah, Alex says that.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, there are studies that, so it's been too long, I can't say where I got this from, that that like a cigarette is made to look like a nipple, and the white part is the milk, and there's statistics that show that people who haven't been breastfed tend to be a lot more susceptible to smoking cigarettes, and that it's this sort of psychological, the same sort of brain activity is happening from when you're being breastfed when you're smoking a cigarette. So
well, I didn't know that, man. That's really, I quit recently, but then I came back to smoking, and it's interesting. I never heard about this theory.
Yeah.
Really.
Hey man, no, don't feel bad. I smoked for years, and
smoke cigarettes, or do you smoke cigarettes?
Yeah, I smoked cigarettes for years. I quit. I was really good at quitting for years. Like I would quit and then I'd start back. I'd quit and I'd start back.
That's what happened to me.
Right. So like I'm afraid to say that I quit, because I've spent long amounts of time not smoking, and then then I'll just start back up. So cross your finger, guys. Hopefully I'll.
No, me too.
Hey man. Pick your vice, man. I'm not. I'm too old to judge. I've made too many mistakes in my life to judge people, man.
When I'm really having this type of conversations, man, I just want to smoke.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, man, I feel you. Or when you're just hanging out at the bar or something, it's just, it's real easy. It's real easy. Or on set,
On set. Actually, on set, I actually forget to eat. Like I don't want to.
I feel you. I do too.
I just want to work.
I feel you.
I'm so stressed with what I have to do, and I don't want to waste time.
Right.
I don't even answer, look at my phone while I'm on set.
In the zone. I got what you're saying. You're just in the zone. I got what you're saying. I forget to eat, but I feel like I replace eating or something with like just wanting to just walk over real quick while I'm thinking, while I'm like trying to figure out the next set. Like it's really convenient for me to be like, oh, where's a cigarette? I had to like stop myself from doing that. I've been good the past couple of projects, because we had a lot of kids on set too. I felt especially with the teenage black boys on the set. That's what really made me not smoke, because I was like, I don't want them watching me. I felt like I'd be like a bad influence.
Yeah.
But anyways, stop judging us, guys. Stop judging us.
Yeah. Now, like coming back to what you were saying about the cigarette and the mom's nipples. It's interesting that Freud is really present throughout the film. Like so Linda, I think it's Linda,
the sister,
Oscar's sister. She, she gets involved with this with her boss. With the clubs, the strip clubs boss.
Yeah, they got her stripping, right? Yeah,
exactly. So that's really Freud is really present throughout the film, I think, and Gaspar Noé is really obvious about it. Sometimes even too obvious, I guess.
Right. Yeah. It's a bit on the nose. So she's replacing her father with him, and and Oscar is replacing their mother with Susie, right?
Exactly. And even when he shows the baby, when Oscar is having sex with Susie, I think it's Susie, her name. Yeah. He replaces, he shows this baby with Susie, and I think sometimes it's too on the nose, as you say. But I think that's a way as well of making the film a little bit more understandable, a bit more commercial. Because otherwise it will be too abstract for some people, and I think that's no way trying to like reach out for a wider audience in a way.
I can see that.
Okay.
I could see that. Yeah, man, and it also sews it together. It sews together the thought patterns. I think it's real, because that's what I feel like we said. I think that's what we really do with our memory, right? Like, not for this to get too inappropriate, right? But maybe, if you're trying to reenact feelings from when you were a child, maybe you are kind of flashing back to those sorts of moments, those same sort of intimate moments, with family members, maybe in a way you're trying to emulate when you're trying to fill the void, whether it's drugs or sex or whatever, right?
Man, but it's really daring from him to do something like that. I thought about, for example, Lolita from Nabokov, I guess. I don't remember now the writer, but Lolita, or these sort of films that you experience, the murder through the murder's perspective, and you empathize with the murder, or in this case, for example, Charles Bukowski. I don't know if you know him, the writer, the American writer, Charles Bukowski.
Yes. Let me see what he's done, and then that'll really help me.
It's a poet.
You're not talking.
Writer.
Say that again.
It's a poem. It's a poet / writer. It's mostly a writer.
Okay.
And there is a few films based on his work, and his art is based on this perspective. Like showing, the perspective of the criminal.
Okay.
In a way.
Did he write Lolita?
Say again?
Did he write Lolita?
Lolita.
Did he write that?
Lolita was another guy. It was like a Russian guy, I guess. Nabokov or something.
I'm not familiar with him. I know the Wachowski brothers. They did Matrix, or the Wachowskis now. I know them. Sci-fi. Sorry, guys.
So what I was saying is that, in a way, Gaspar Noé, by being, this puts us out of our comfort zone to see this brother and sister feeling sexual tension with each other, or feeling sexual tension for his friend's mom, and so on. And Gaspar Noé, I think it's, crossing the line with some of the stuff he's saying in that film, but in a good way for me, in my perspective, because it's sometimes that happens, and we judge people when that happens, and cinema has the power to make us see why that happens.
Right.
You know? So those are my favorite films, when I can actually identify with a criminal or with somebody that committed, you know, took a decision that I would never take in my life, and I judge those people that take those decisions. But then I see the film and I think to myself, oh shit, actually, like, I will do the same probably.
Right.
I don't know, you know.
Right.
How can you how could you say, right? Like I feel you. It's like film can give you empathy so much, right? And this POV film gives us so much empathy, because I feel you in the same way, where it's like, I felt like, man, I would look at Oscar. If I saw Oscar, you know, if I was walking down the streets of Tokyo and I saw Oscar, I'm like, oh, you know, like this idiot, you know, like young drug dealing, you know, skinny white boy, he's gonna be dead in a week. You know, I'm like, he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, I'd be like, you know, and then or with his sister, with Linda, you know, if I saw her in the strip club, you know, like she's stripping, you know, she's having sex with her boss, you know, and like, you know, she easy, man. You know, that's one of the easy girls, you know, like oh, you know, that's somebody you call for a good time, but now I'm like, man, like, these are traumatized people, right? You know, now I'm like, man, if I was her, right? Like, I'm just being very honest. I can sympathize for her now. It's like, I can see how you can be lost and you follow your brother. You just want to, you know, your brother calls you, you know, to come to Japan. Y'all can finally link together. You guys have witnessed just the worst thing ever. So you join back together. Maybe you're not quite sure about who he's hanging out with and what he's doing, but you kind of have to create a life for yourself. And then this guy shows interest in you. He just so happens to have a way for you to make money, and he makes you feel pretty, right? You know, your brother does these drugs, so I can do the drugs too, right? You know, and then, you know, you just kind of get sucked up in this world, man. And you look up, and, you know, your brother died, and, you know, you got to get an abortion by your boss, you know, because you're a stripper, and yeah, you're mourning, and yeah, man.
Yeah, man, everything makes sense, you know, when you now, if you see Linda, you know, if you hang out with her, you're gonna sympathize with her. You're gonna be like, oh, I feel you, like, I know exactly what you're going through. Like,
right.
And if you meet somebody like that in your daily life, probably gonna, as you said, you're gonna have some first impression, you know.
Right.
So it's I try to do that with the Art Kings in a way, but
you try to do that when? You try to do that when?
With my last film, but I'm gonna try to do more in the future. You know, I'm really interested in understanding what's going on in, you know, maybe not criminals, but in people that take bad decisions. Why they take those bad decisions? You know, why they do that?
Yeah.
And try to understand why, and show to the world why they took those bad decisions.
Yeah, man, that's really cool. I'm a sucker for a good anti-hero drama, and I think that's why. Did you ever watch Breaking Bad, the American show on AMC?
No, man. Everybody told me to watch it, but I never watched it. I actually saw like the first episode, but I didn't keep going with it. I think I was busy back in the time, but I'm gonna give it another go one day.
Yeah.
You are telling me to see it. I'm gonna see it.
Good. I'm glad. I mean, it might be my favorite show all time. I have a couple, but I mean, what I really loved about that show was what Vince Gilligan, what he said was, you know, I'm not going to say it exactly right, but he wanted to turn, you know, like Archie Bunker, like a wholesome, you know, well-to-do guy, into Scarface. And he wanted to show people how that could happen, right? He saw it as a challenge, as a storyteller, that I want to show people how this can happen. And he does it, just like you just said, that like you want to work to do, and I want to work to do too. It's like you watch somebody's character change. That's why we watch movies, you know. We and you see yourself in it, you know, maybe you won't become a drug kingpin in New Mexico, but you kind of see yourself in them when you're mad at your boss, or when you're when you're feeling trapped in your life, or when you get bad news in your life, you know.
No, we are not those guys, because we didn't grow up in those conditions, you know. We didn't, our environment didn't take us that direction,
right?
Because, you know, if you're, I'm gonna be a bit hardcore now, but if your parents, you know, died in a car accident, like it happened to Oscar and Linda in the film,
right,
you know, and if you've been through that, probably you would be a different person today, you know.
Yes,
so it's not really about us sometimes, it's about what happens to us, how life treats us. And it's not really our fault sometimes. Right. Obviously, some people, they take the decision of doing something bad because they want to do it, and that's different. But sometimes we just suffer the consequences from life itself, you know. And decisions, just because we are between, we in Portugal, we say between the sword and the wall. Like, we don't have any other option. So we take bad decisions because we don't have any other option, really. And I think it's interesting to show that to people that might judge those things. Characters. But you were saying something else interesting that what were you saying before?
What was I talking about? What did I bring up?
Forget it.
Forget it. It'll come back up. Just talking about her stripping and empathizing for her and stuff, like empathizing the life that she lived. But yeah, man, I mean, I just agree with what you were saying when it's like these we only see life through our lenses, and we may not have gone through something, you know. We may not have gone through a particular thing, so that's why we didn't do it. That's why we didn't make the mistakes. We made our own brands of mistakes, right? We've made our own stuff, and somebody, and that's what I wanted to say, that it's really easy to vilify, you know, to make people into villains or into bad people that we don't agree with. It's really easy to do that. It helps us understand life. We feel like we understand things better. And you're like, that's why I'm good. I'm not that person. I didn't do that, right? But we are all this, you know, the sum of our experiences, right? And you can't really divide it, right? So let's see. So,
and to be a filmmaker, you really need to let your ego down for a while, you know, to put yourself in other person's shoes. And I think it's a really challenging exercise to write a script, for example. You know, it makes you learn about life in such an intense way. You know, you actually need to put yourself in other person's shoes and think, okay, so how would this character think? Like, why did he do this? What is this character's desires? What happened before in this character's childhood? And all these exercise, if you write a lot of scripts about a lot of characters, one day you're just gonna be like, okay, I understand how people work.
You like to think so. You know, it's the same. It's the same humility that gets you to do those things, you know, that I feel like that makes the film good, you know, and just keep yourself there too, you know, even when the movie does well and stuff, and when people appreciate it, because that's why they appreciate it. And for me, you know, when you were just talking about that, it makes me think about, you know, like what would they say? What would they say right now? Would they say anything? And then I'm like, man, what would I say? What would I do? And then I'm like, it's almost kind of, it's very exposing. I know you know what I mean, where it's just like, dang, I would do this. I would just be like, bloop, bloop. You know? It's a very exposing thing. You're like, but my character shouldn't do this, but I know what I would do because this is the good guy. This is supposed to be the good guy, and I'm not seeing myself in the good guy right now.
So imagine that you are, I don't know, remember the name of the director, but I think Todd Phillips, the guy that wrote Joker. Who wrote Joker?
Todd Phillips directed it. I know he directed it. I don't know if he wrote it too. You're
Imagine
good with
that
writers,
you are writing that script, Joker,
right?
And in the end, when he's about to kill, Robert De Niro's character, you think to yourself, "What would I do right now?"
Right. Yeah. And it wasn't too far away.
It's crazy to think that.
Yeah.
But when you are a writer, you actually compare yourself to your characters, and if you build up the story in that direction, then there is only one possible decision for that character. And if you compare yourself to that character, you're going to think to yourself, nah, I will do the same. because everything built up for this, like the whole story built up for this moment. So I would have to do the same.
You put me there. You put me there.
And you put me there, and that's life. That's how life works, Sometimes life just puts you in that situation.
And that's the song that they played at the end of Joker too. That's life. Frank Sinatra song.
Seriously.
Yep. That's so cool, man. I appreciate this so much, Vasco. Thank you. So, I thought it was very interesting when Oscar asked Linda if she had any goals. And she said that her goal, she was like, I don't know, to have a big love affair. And I thought that was so endearing and honest of her. And it feeds right back into filling in that void of trauma. She just wants a big hit of dopamine, like a big love, or like a big, like just dump the love inside of this empty hole in my heart. That's all I can think of that I would want, because she went through so much.
In that situation, that's the only thing she's craving for. And she is in a foreign country, which is even harder, So she's far from her friends, if she has any friends, far from, any other family members that she might have still, like uncles and so now when Oscar dies, she's completely alone, and every any guy that shows up in her life is going to be the one.
Right. Yeah, that's real talk, man. You're right about that, Vasco. Yeah, that's true. Because she wants it. That's what she wants, right? Yeah,
exactly. And this guy, the boss of the club, of the strip club, is in a way is a parental figure. And if you notice, like even the way Noé writes the script, when Oscar is in the backstage room with Linda and her co-worker, and Oscar is giving drugs to them, or he's taking drugs himself, I don't remember. And the boss comes up and he says, "What are you doing here?" And he takes him out of the club.
Right.
When he shows up, he says, "What are you giving to my girls?"
Right.
And just that line, "to my girls," it's so parental.
Right.
It shows himself as a parental figure to these girls. He's the daddy of these girls.
Wow.
And that's why she ends up filling up this emotional gap with this parental figure, I guess, because he treats them like that. And it's interesting to see that he's actually he doesn't show so much affection for her. And sometimes our parents, they don't show so much affection for us as well. And that works even better in these situations, like if she's looking for a parental figure, she's going to end up being with a guy that doesn't show that, in a way, treat her bad sometimes, because that's how parental relations work sometimes. Your mom and your dad, sometimes you have arguments with them. Sometimes you always disagree with them. You think that they are so different from you. And in this situation, he is actually super different from her, and that even works better for this attraction.
Right.
But I think this is
No, man, this is dope. So what you were saying makes me think of, your parents. You like to think they have the best intentions for you, not all the time, of course, and they make their mistakes. But when you are looking, when you're lost, when you are, kind of searching around like Linda was, like a puppy dog about to just, whoever was going to be there was who was going to, fill that void for her. There are people that manipulate, that maybe understand themselves and their motivations a little bit more, for better or worse. You can call them evil or good or whatever, but they are going to prey on, or they're going to take advantage of a lost person, because they are going to they're going to insert themselves in that situation so they can use your energy, so you'll end up getting what you want, but you'll also but that's the cost. The cost is in their world. It's the way that they want to do it, right? So you can get love, but if it's not from a caring parent, or from somebody who really, a mentor or something that really wants to be there from you, then that love might be, in a strip club with some drugs and an abortion, unfortunately, unfortunately, and when I wanted to touch on towards the end, when they're in that sex house. I thought it was so interesting. Of course, the whole entire movie was beautiful. It was graphic. Everyone's in there having sex, but like around their nether regions, everything's glowing, right? While they're having sex, right? And I just thought that was such a cool little detail, because in this sort of, they said that DMT is the same thing, that it's the same, like it's the same fluid that your brain lets off when you're dying, right?
And when you are born as well. Yeah.
So then, or when you're orgasming too. Okay, so, and that makes sense. See, it all makes sense, because that's what I was gonna say, is just that this magic, this whatever you call it, this magic, this ether, this love, this experience, this ultimate experience, whatever you want to call it, it's glowing, for better or worse, like whether, even though it is in like the middle of this sex house, right, in the middle of like this, this probably, like, these people definitely like aren't like in love with, like, and married with kids, right? Like, it's definitely a lot more lustful situation going on there, but it's still glowing. It's still like, it's crazy how like this alchemical magic that happens between people when they decide to engage in such an intimate way, right? And I thought that was just so cool, the show visually.
No, yes, the cinematography is amazing in that scene. I agree with you, man. And it's interesting to make it, so visually, I don't know the right word, but so visually expressive.
Yeah.
So visually expressive, if in such a I wouldn't say sad, but I would say, because we are talking about life, so it's so difficult, and this is so complex, so it's so difficult to find, the right word to describe this. But I completely understand what you're saying, and I agree. It's such an intense scene. The neon colors and the camera flying throughout the hotel. Like going so in detail in all these sexual interactions, and making it. I actually don't know how they did it. Like how the camera flies throughout.
Yeah.
I don't know technically. I don't know how they did it. Do you know?
Yeah, I'm really excited to finish this article. So it's a mosh posh. What did it first and foremost is just the passion that they had to tell this story, because they sewed together so many different things. They tried and oh, hold on.
Hold on, I have to put batteries in my recorder.
Okay, no worries, man.
To answer your question though, so I like I said, I want to keep reading. I want to keep reading the article, but what I got before we got on the Zoom was it was a mosh posh of a lot of trying and failing and things working, things not working, but it was a lot of crane shots, a lot of POV. I believe they used some sort of a gimbal, for the POV, and a lot of sewing it all together with VFX. So what I want to know is, were they on stage? Because they had to, they would be going over numerous rooms, so they would like the rooms would be divided by different. So I don't know if that was. It seems like a little too expensive to do all of that in VFX. So I wonder if they were in a stage or what.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I do. I know they had the crane on set, but how do you go from probably when they go from a room to another room? That's VFX for sure. Mm-hmm. But how they fly through the city, how the camera flies through the city, I don't know.
Right. I think there's miniatures too.
If that's VFX, man.
I don't think that. Because, VFX is best when it's sprinkled in, So I know what you mean. I don't think that those city shots are VFX. I think maybe some things were sewn together, maybe. Because it's really easy, like for example, when they went inside of the fire, that was on the stove, that was VFX, right? And then they do all these things and they pull back out, right? So, those sort of things. But then I want to say that I saw some miniatures too. I don't think that was always the city. I want to read that. I think that they built a miniature of the city. I think they did. Yeah. But in any event, I know.
Just before that, let me just say something really quick. Please. I was just thinking about it now before I came back to the room.
Yeah.
You were talking about how the colors in the Love Hotel are so intense, and you were talking about the DMT fluid that you release when you die, and these psychedelic experiences usually they are reported as really colorful, and the whole film, the whole piece is really colorful, and I think it's one of the most accomplished color palettes in filmmaking industry, and it's so hard. We as filmmakers, we know how hard it is to do that.
Yeah, man.
The whole film, and sometimes one take, just one shot goes for 5 minutes, and you wonder how did they build up all these, and the city assumes itself as a character as well, in a way.
Definitely.
Tokyo assumes itself as such a big, character, in a way. I look at Tokyo as a person in this film. I don't know if you feel the same, but Tokyo is such an influence for their behavior and for their actions. The way the city, I felt that in London. Actually, when I was in London, I felt that the city was so big that I was so small, and that made me wonder about life more, in a way. And I feel like
Tokyo.
I've been in Tokyo, but I was too young. I was 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
But I can compare it in a way to London because of the dimension of it, and there is so many things happening, and you see all these in a way robotic people, because they are just going to work, and everybody has a focus, everybody has a direction, everybody's going somewhere, and you are walking in the street and you see all this crowd going somewhere with something to do. And that makes you wonder about life, that makes you wonder, what is my meaning here? And I think that the city was so well chosen. Tokyo was such a good location to shoot this film, because it makes this character so small. And when you feel small, you wonder about life. So, and all these colors and all these neon lights and information, it reminds me of Blade Runner, like in films.
Yeah.
And
so cool.
And that was very Tokyo influenced, that their Blade Runner, because they said that what they were trying to do. I wrote my thesis based on Blade Runner anthology, my thesis paper.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and what they were saying that they figured in the future there would be like these megalopolis, for lack of a better term, these multicultural megalopolises where Asian culture would have taken over. Right. For whatever reason, I guess because of population or whatever, or technology, so that's why I think, like you said, I think it was just a production design excuse because they just have such beautiful lights out there, right? But I agree so much with what you're saying, with how hard it is as a filmmaker to capture these beautiful images in such a symmetrical way, and I think that a lot of it, or it's at least in such a poignant storytelling format, and everything is everything. Film is everything. Film isn't one facet, but when you were just talking, it made me think about the lesson I learned, a few years back, a few projects back, about production design. And when you're talking about the city of Tokyo, and when you're talking about the strip club that they were in, the bathroom that he was in when he got shot, they walked into some really colorful places, and just picking your location and being very accurate or being very purposeful about production design can sometimes save you, because you just got to turn on the camera. It's all there. It's all, it's all beautiful. Just turn on the camera. Everywhere you turn, it's going to be colorful. It's going to look nice. You have if you have a great performance, then crap, you don't need anything back there, right? If there's somebody there that's great and that looks interesting and is performing, then hell, mission accomplished.
Yeah, that's why Christopher Doyle moved to Hong Kong. I don't know if you know.
Oh, really?
Christopher Doyle? Christopher Doyle works with Wong Kar-wai in most of his films, and he's an Australian guy, Australian cinematographer, and he moved to Hong Kong just because of the city lights. He says you don't really need to do anything else. You just press record and that's it.
Yeah, man. I win. Press record. You're good. No, man. So I wanna wrap up the movie, and then we can kind of get more into how we felt about it. I wanted to get a bit more into Victor. So towards the end, that's just unfair, guys. I don't know when the hell this stuff happens, but at any event, Victor, he, of course, he was jealous, and I think that he might have even been attracted to Oscar. So he might have even been jealous of his mother. He might have wanted a sexual experience with Oscar.
Whoa. That's another layer that I haven't.
Yeah. Hey, check it out. Check it out. I'm pretty sure because Oscar walks in with just the towel on, and we don't see it because it's behind Oscar's back. But like as he's kind of drying himself and talking to him, Victor's kind of looking at him, and Oscar's like, "What?" And then Victor's just like, "Nothing." Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that Victor might be homosexual, might be gay, but I didn't think that he was feeling attracted by Oscar. But now that you talk about it, everything makes sense in my mind, and it's even more, complex and brilliant in a way. How he built up the plot, how the director built up the plot, because now it's about. Wow, yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's like even like jealousy is involved now and all this, right? It's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's jealousy at Oscar, and it's also jealousy towards his mother, which is even crazier, right?
Yeah, it's interesting too, because his Susie was a pool dancer when she was young, and Oscar is jealous of his sister when he sees his sister with other guys, and she's a pool dancer.
Wow, I just saw that. Yeah. I just saw that. I remember them saying that over the dinner table. That now that you just said that, they did say that Susie, and then she didn't want to talk about it. She was like, change the subject or whatever. Yes. Wow. Yeah. And he
her husband was talking in such a natural way. Yeah, and I got the disease. I met her in a pool dance club, and I got the disease. Like
Right.
and that interaction, that conversation makes us see why Victor, leans towards this not criminal, but like towards this life of trying to fill up the void, because his uh, family is not functional in a way, and such as Oscar, and that might in a way be why he might feel attracted by him as well.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, Victor is definitely a victim in a lot of ways, but it's really hard it's really hard to like him in this movie, of course, because he gets Oscar killed and he does a lot of stuff that is kind of whack. But even when they're sitting there and they're talking about and they're, when you're talking about Oscar, he can't have sex with his sister, right? But he can, who's a stripper, but he can have sex with Susie, right? And he can't, of course he can't. His mother's dead, and he's replacing her, or he's replacing Victor's mom with his mom, right? So there's even more of this tension, and then if Victor is attracted to him, there's that. And also him and Victor have this sort of drug use, drug dealing situation going on that they're going through together. And with Victor, I think that he's not finding love at home for probably a couple of reasons. I don't know. We didn't get to know his parents too much, but we could tell. Yeah, we don't know them too much, but we do know enough that his dad is the type of guy that went overseas and married this pole dancer, and does not necessarily seem very a part of the family, because Susie needs to fill a void with Oscar, with this younger, more viral young man, right? And Victor may not be, for whatever, Susie doesn't see Victor as maybe fulfilling whatever it is to be a son. And so maybe she's feeling Oscar, kind of replacing Victor with Oscar too, right? So I feel like Victor is dealing with a lot of that, man. And that's why he's using these drugs. That's why he doesn't have any morals, he's willing to cross his friends and get his friend killed just because, of this.
Like an episode that happened, like
right.
A mistake that might have committed, and that this action from Oscar shouldn't cost him his life.
Right. Yeah.
If any of your friends does this, you're not gonna. Obviously, you're not gonna like it, but you're not gonna take such decision. And for Victor to take that decision, he's going through some hard shit, in his mind.
Exactly.
There is a lot going on in his life, in his backstory with his family, and yeah, as you said, his connection with his family is not the best. His father doesn't seem so present, or if he's present, he doesn't seem to have a good connection with his family, and we can see that through, the conversation they have in the dinner. Like we can see that it doesn't seem natural. There is like lack of connection there, and he is in a foreign country, which adds to that feeling as well. Of not belonging. So he doesn't belong to the family, doesn't belong to the culture, and I know perfectly what that means, of not belonging to a culture, and sometimes it can make us feel really lonely in a way, and that can, can fuck up our mind, in a way.
Yeah.
In extreme conditions, I understand why he takes drugs. He tries to fill up this gap, and as the same as Oscar.
Right. Yeah. All right, you're back.
I don't know what happened.
You're all good. Technology, man. It's all good. But no, I was just gonna say, with Victor, he probably, I don't know how well versed he is at knowing himself and all of us, that's a lifelong journey. But you know, if you don't know yourself and you don't know these feelings that you have and you don't know how to process them, it can be hard to obtain the love that you deserve, you know. And he could have found a nice relationship. He could have found a healthy relationship with somebody if that's what he was looking for, you know, a significant other. But instead, once he goes through this situation and he crosses Oscar and gets him killed, he puts himself in a situation where he might even get locked up, right? So now it's a situation where he's dealing with these crooked policemen, and we saw at the end, you know, he's given fellatio. He's giving fellatio to these crooked cops just because, you know, he's in a situation where, you know, if he does not do everything that they say or whatever, you know, that they're just going to end up burying him. And his parents hate him now because he told his dad about once he found out about Oscar and Susie, he goes and tells their dad about it, and now his mother hates him even more. But the weird spin is that his dad hates him even more now because he was kind of disrespectful to his dad. Like, oh, look, my friend is screwing your wife. You don't even care, you know, blah blah blah. So he's completely cut off his parents. His parents are cut off from each other. You know, that whole situation is kind of blown up now, and now all he has is just these crooked cops that are going to abuse him, and he's just going to do these drugs until whenever, right? And then all that Alex was saying with reincarnation, and he kind of predicted when he was talking about the Tibetan Bible, he predicted everything that happens to Oscar's soul and everything that he experiences all the way up to him being reincarnated, I guess, as his own nephew, huh? So I guess Oscar's gonna be his own nephew now. That's what the end of the movie is. Alex and Linda having sex and then having Oscar via his nephew. I think you might have started pausing again.
It's insane, man.
Say that again?
We are having bad connection.
Yeah.
Man, wait. I'm gonna try to solve it in a minute, but let's keep going like this for a while, and I'm gonna turn on my data in a minute. So
okay.
I mean, I was gonna wrap it up. I mean, you can keep talking. You can say what you were gonna say. I was just gonna end it with what I felt like the movie meant to me. If you wanted to say whatever you wanted to say.
Yeah.
Cool. I was just saying a lot about Victor, and just a lot what we were saying just with Victor and his home situation, and then you could even see how kind of effed up his mentality was because he went to Linda, and instead of apologizing to Linda, you know, or I'm sorry, he did say sorry, but then, you know, Linda's pissed off, right? Like, you basically got my brother killed, and he turns around and says that, oh, are you good? Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. You can talk.
All right, cool. But I was just really getting into Victor and just his trauma and what he was going through. And you could even tell, you know, when he went to go apologize to Linda, first of all, like, I don't know. I don't know if I would do that. Maybe I would feel, I was wondering, you know, first of all, I just would not have done anything Victor did, first and foremost. But if I was responsible for somebody's death, would I go to the family or would I go to the sister, and would I have the guts to apologize? You know, maybe I would. I would like to think that I would, but then I don't even know if that's appropriate. Do you feel like that it wasn't appropriate blaming it on her? You know, like he didn't like the response, and he was like, "Well, he was just trying to make money for you, and you're messing with all these people or whatever." And she's like, "Go kill yourself," right? You know, like I understand what she meant, but I was wondering, and you can let me know what. Like, was he even right for going to her in that moment to apologize? Would you have done that, do you think?
I don't know, man. It's a tricky question. I think I would do the same in a way. I would try to face reality and face the truth, and, you know, make the other person understand what I've been through, and it's really, man, it's really hard to answer that because I'm not in that situation. But
Right.
I believe that in this situation, I think he did the right thing. Don't you think? Like, would you do the same? I'm asking you now. What do
Yeah.
you think? I don't know. It depends on the situation as well, no?
Yeah, I think that I would have let a lot of time go by.
Me
And
too.
Yeah, I would have let a lot of time go by, and I would have at least apologized. Now, I would not expect anything from the situation. I wouldn't expect them to accept the apology. I would be completely prepared with them hating my guts, with them needing to vent, like they might need to cuss you out. They might need to. You don't know. They might pick up a bat. They might pick up a gun. Shoot, you don't. You know.
Kill you.
right then and there.
You know, they might kill you there. You know, it's
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so it's a sticky situation, but I think that I do like to hold myself accountable for my actions, and if there was a situation, you know, like I said, I just wouldn't be Victor, man. Like, he's just a brittle soul, you know. He's a brittle soul, and I'm sorry, you know. He just was, but I want go ahead.
no. I was saying, but I don't really see. I don't. When I'm watching the film, I didn't really empathize with Victor, as you were saying. But now that you are saying all these, I kind of want to watch the film another time, just to analyze the film through his perspective. You know, because it might be an interesting character, and I didn't give him so much attention throughout the film. You know, and I feel like that he is an important character. You know, because he drives the plot, and there is a lot of decisions, you know, taken because of his character. I need to see the film again with this perspective now.
Yeah, man, that's what you say, man. You're time traveling. You're now you're gonna watch it during this time, right, and get a whole other experience, man. Yeah. So I'm gonna, you know, just kind of wrap up my entire, you know, feelings of the movie. You know, Linda at the end, you know, when she was saying that after Victor left, and she was like, who, like, get rid of all these evil people. Everybody was evil to her for a second. Everybody, you know, this whole world got her brother killed, and her world came crumbling down, and you know, who like these evil people. And I asked myself, you know, who are the evil people that she's talking about, right? And then quite literally, you know, it's she's calling her boyfriend evil, you know, Victor's evil, you know, everybody a part of this is, and I just think that is. Go ahead.
No, Alex as well. And
Yeah. Alex as well, right? But then she ends up, of course, you know, what do you call it? Mourning with him. And they make love or they have sex, one or the other, I don't know. And they end up having a child that she ends up keeping, that ends up being, you know, reincarnated Oscar. And it's such an odd way to think of it, right? But it was a really sweet, it was a very poetic way to end it, because it is what Alex was talking about at the beginning. But I just think, again, you know, it's really easy to call someone evil, to call someone good, you know, to call someone whatever, but it's the POV that I think, you know, that gives us empathy, you know, that insight of everybody, and in turn you end up seeing it within yourself. So I'll say that about the movie. But then as a filmmaker, I think that I got hit even harder as a filmmaker, a lot because of what we were saying at the beginning, just how watching this movie, I just saw how impossible it was to explain it, to get an investor, to get collaborators, to shoot it, to edit it. And I was just like, man, it was just an undying, deep passion for this story. That's all I saw. That's all I felt throughout this film. And me as a filmmaker, I said, man, I want to make sure I hold that same responsibility when I'm making it. I want somebody to be able to watch the movie and be like, man, like this isn't just something that just got made because, you know, this film student really wanted to do something, you know, or like, you know, like this person wrote this story and what. No, I want it to like, that's where an experience comes from, right? Like you're watching it and you just see it's just dripping with passion, just dripping with this man, like the effort, the love, the everything, that the skill, the everything that it took to make it. So I think that's the biggest thing that kind of the movie Into the Void left with me.
Yeah, definitely. Mostly in this postmodernist era, where, you know, everybody is influenced by everybody. I think Gaspar Noé had he stuck to his vision. He had the gut to follow his vision, and it's amazing how he actually transmitted his vision to the whole crew and to, you know, founding entities, and how could he pitch the project. It's just unbelievable how a project like this gets out of, gets done.
Right.
That's one of that's why I love this film. Also technically, I think this film is brilliant. The camera movements, the way he expresses the feeling through color as well, and light, and the performances are genuine, real, in my opinion, documentary inspired in a way. I know the film was scripted, but I feel like the actors are improvising a lot in some scenes, and that makes it even more, you know, engaging. Yeah. You know, the experience. Yeah. So there is so many original elements on the film that makes me, you know, get motivated to work to do cinema, man. Like it's such a unique medium, such a strong tool to express yourself, and Gaspar Noé did it in such a he used the medium, he used the tool 100%, you know, like and it's interesting because you see interviews of him and he's such a simple guy, you know, like he's if you ask him, how did you have the idea to do Enter the Void? And he just tells you, I mean, I was watching a film the other day, a point of view shot, a point of view film. And I thought to myself, oh, it will be so interesting to see, you know, this guy taking some drugs and experience his tone. Let's do that. And then he comes up with this, with Enter the Void. You know, bam. And just thinking that this was born, man, I'm running out of light here. Wait, just a second.
You're good.
Just thinking that this film came up from such a genuine moment, you know, and we all have those moments. We are sometimes in our couch, in our bed, watching a film and thinking to ourselves, oh, I would like to, or even when you experience something and you think to yourself, oh, it would be so nice to see a film with this experience, you know, like I would love people to understand how I think about this. Right. And then you actually make a film about that with such dimension, you know, such a
depth.
It's, you know what I mean? It's difficult to explain.
Yeah.
And it's even harder to explain in English, because in maybe I could explain you super well, but in English, sometimes I don't find the right words. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're fine. My wife, this isn't her first language either, so I have big sympathy. I get it. You're good. But but you're right, man. It's the simple. To me, what you're saying is, especially you knowing the filmmaker so much, it's him with a simple idea, him trying to accomplish a simple idea, but we experience it with so much depth and with so many layers, right? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. You know, like sometimes you might take a drug, you smoke weed, or you get super drunk, or you even.
Have you ever taken any psychedelics? Can I ask you that on air? Like,
No, I mean, I did the LSD when I was really young, but I don't really remember the experience. But even sometimes when I smoke some weed, you know, like I go,
Yeah.
am I having a hard day or I'm having a different trip, you know, like I'm having a not usual trip, and I meet somebody that I'm out of my comfort zone with that person or whatever.
Right. I got you.
You know, and I have this weird trip with that person, and I think, and that makes me wonder about my life, about myself, about, and then maybe I go home alone and I'm thinking all these crazy thoughts while I'm going home, you know, and I think to myself, shit, like I'm going so deep in my mind, you know, like I wonder if other people think the same as I'm thinking now, you know, like I wonder if other people in the world have the same weird thoughts as I have. And and then I think, okay, I would like to make a film about this way of thinking to see if people respond with the same feedback, you know, if they have the same thoughts.
Yeah.
And he actually did that, you know, like about the way he thinks, about the way he psychedelics. And it's interesting for him as a filmmaker to see if other people in the world perceives the same psychedelic experience as him, you know, and it's a fact that a lot of people respond in a positive way. Like they say, it's exactly the same with me. Like I perceive the experience is exactly the same way as you. So that makes me believe that a psychedelic experience is universal, that everybody goes through the same experience, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the power of making a film. Like you can reach an audience and they come back to you saying, hey man, I feel the same, I think the same, you are not alone. And that's a great feeling, you know. And I really like Enter the Void because it makes you, you know, reach that audience and empathize with it, you know.
yeah, man. And this is why, and this conversation is honestly is the same, is giving me that same experience. You know, I appreciate your perspective in picking this film, and to me, you know, whether if we're talking about, you know, psychedelics or, you know, religion, spirituality. I don't know if you heard of the show X-Files before. I was a really big X-File nerd, and the whole thing about it, one of the agents, he believes in everything. You know, he believes in the aliens and like and all the conspiracy theories. So all the episodes are about him trying to prove that the monsters are real, that the aliens are real, that the conspiracies are real. And he has a poster, and I got that poster downstairs in my basement. He has for this same reason that you're just talking about searching for this empathy. It's a UFO up in the sky, and it says at the bottom, "I want to believe." And I think that poster says so much, and I think what X-Files was trying to say, and I think all of us X-Filers and all of us dreamers, all of us storytellers, I think when we're talking about trying to find that connection, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is a you know, the psychedelic experience is, you know, what it's like when you die. I don't know if, you know, when we die, we're going to go to heaven or hell, or if the Mormons were right, or if the Christians were right, or, you know, I don't know. But I want to believe, man. I want to believe that we can connect, that we are all connected. I want to. Sometimes I don't, you know, when I'm feeling sad, right? When you're feeling disconnected, when you're, you know, when you're out on the country, you know, alone figuring yourself out, or when you're in the middle of pre-production and you got, you know, like $20 left. You know, so like it's like, man, there's so many things that happen in life, right? But man, I want to believe, and I think that's why I make movies. I think that's why, I pray. I think that's why I believe in magic. You know, I think it's because I want to believe in that, in that want in itself. Whether or not I know whether it's true or not, I'll spend my whole life doing it. But I feel it in these conversations. I feel it in the good times, right? You know, so that's what makes me feel like it could be real, right? So
yeah, man. Oh, I feel it so much, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for making this happen, man.
Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate you reaching out to me and inviting me to do this, man. And Enter the Void was such a great film to trigger all these thoughts, you know.
Right. Exactly.
And if you like, you talk about the narrative and the plot, and you analyze the film in a literal way, but then there is so many different layers, you know, that you can, and those layers trigger so many conversations about life, you know. And when a film is capable of doing that, it's a great film.
Exactly.
And that's why I really like this film.
It's beautiful.
Man, Vasco, let's plan. I'm gonna send you links to Child Indigo and the film that I told you I was working on in the Airbnb. And can you send me your projects as well? Could you send me a couple of links?
Yeah, I can send you Yard Kings, my last project. I'm gonna send you, man. I'm really curious about your sci-fi, man.
Cool. No, man, I'm curious about your work too, man. And then maybe like in a week or two, we can just chat about our work. We'll watch it, and then we'll call each other again and just chat about each other's work, what we thought about it.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Yeah. I must say though that my work is not. You're not gonna see much of what we are talking about. Reflected in my work, at least for now. And you understand why, because now we need to we don't need to, obviously we need to be creative and stick to our vision and bring our own life experience to our work, but we don't have the name yet, the reputation yet, to do whatever the fuck we want.
Exactly.
So,
I really see I see a reflection in our work already, man. So I'm looking forward to checking it, man. I'm looking forward to seeing your wonderful award-winning work, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks a lot. Just we're gonna have a chat about it in 1 week. Yeah.
Right.
Send me as well the one in the Airbnb with your friends.
Yes.
Yeah, man, it's not done yet. It's the first cut, but you can actually give me some really good advice for the next couple of cuts. So I would actually, I would appreciate that. Yeah, man. And is there like your IG or anything that you want the people to be able to check you out on? Your Instagram or Twitter?
Nah, that's fine, man. Just you gotta.
No, just watch the work. No, don't.
Okay.
No, I mean, if you want to check out my my Instagram, you can identify me on the post, and they just know that. So
I love it.
Don't follow him. You better not follow him. If you follow him, I'm gonna find you.
When is this coming out, Trey?
What's that?
When is this coming out?
Which one?
This one.
So I have 3 works right now. So Child Indigo is the one that's going through the film circuit right now. I've already put it through the festival circuit. It just got accepted to the Georgia Shorts Film Festival here in Atlanta. So that'll be its first screening. I've applied to a few other ones, so I'll keep you posted. A couple of them are out. I applied to, is it the Fantastic Fest that's in the UK? I applied to a couple of film festivals out in the UK. So man, fingers crossed. If I get in there, you'll be the first one I call.
Actually, I'm gonna. I think it will be interesting if you. I don't know what you think about this, but now that you are applying to festivals, and you are, and I am as well. I am really into it in Film Freeway, and all these pseudo festivals going on, and You know, you probably know a lot about that as well because you are Slavic. You know, that will be such an interesting conversation to have one day. You know, about how the system works, how this festival system works, and how filmmakers are sometimes. I don't want to say, you know, but
what, like sensitive, worried about rejection and stuff. You mean?
No. There is a lot of scams going on. You know.
Oh yes, exactly. Yo.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I actually just did a. I just had a. I was a teacher's assistant in one of the. What am I trying to say? The class that I did a lecture in, it was on film festivals because I did. I've done a lot of extensive research on film festivals, and you know, you put it out there to get, you know, I think like for the top film festival, it's like a 1.8% chance of getting into like the top film festivals, and the third tier festivals. They're a mix of really good opportunities to meet local film communities / opportunities to get screwed over by a lot of janky people that make money off of young filmmakers, right? Yeah. So yeah, we can have a great conversation about that.
Yeah, we can, because our interaction started like that, you know.
Yeah.
Me asking you for advice about, you know, this festival, and I feel like a lot of filmmakers are going through the same and spending a lot of money in submissions, and there is not so much information online about that. There is obviously a lot of articles and forums with people sharing their experiences, but it's still a problem. You know, it's still an issue, and it's growing year by year, and it's growing in a unbelievable way. You know?
There's a big community. I mean, there's like a big enterprise, a big industry that definitely, it's because there's just, everybody's a filmmaker right now, right? If you have a phone, you're a filmmaker. Like, congratulations. If you have a phone, you're a filmmaker. But to distinguish yourself, you know, as far as, you know, the artistry that is, what divides us, right? You know, the skills that we acquire to be a good storyteller in this venue. There are a lot of people. I mean, there just is. There's just an industry that makes a lot of money off of people, you know, that do that, man. It's unfortunate, man.
As much as anybody is a filmmaker with a DSLR or with a phone, everybody can build a festival if they have like some online skills. You know, you can just create a platform and you have a film festival,
right?
And man, newcomers to first-time filmmakers, they are easy prey to this kind of scheme, you know, and scam. And I think it will be interesting to have a conversation with you one of these days about that, because there is so many things to talk about, and I've been through that, and it's really sad that this is happening, you know. And I wonder about the future, what's going to happen to film festivals, what's going to happen to the magic of being accepted to a film festival, and, you know, sharing with your friends that you were accepted in a film. You know, in 5 years, this is not going to mean anything for us. You know.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't get that bad. But it already doesn't mean anything to a lot of those laurels, a lot of those film festivals. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a laurel to put on your movie poster, right? But I'm excited about that conversation, man. I had a lot of good conversations with that, and I did a lot of research, and the ball is constantly moving, especially with COVID. You know, the ball is. The game is constantly changing and evolving, and it's getting the top festivals are getting more and more submissions, so it's getting harder and harder and more political to get in there. Even if you do make a good movie, they're rejecting, you know, I mean, they might be rejecting half of the work, may not be, you know, whatever one may say that great, but then the other half of it, it's a lot of good work that they're rejecting. They have to, it depends on who you know, and you know, and all this, who won last year, what nationality are they, What's the theme? What's the theme of the festival this year? It's a lot of things.
Then you have the other side of the coin. You have festivals that accept the not good works. They accept the works that are not accepted in the big festivals, because they know that these guys, they're going to share it on social media and they're going to promote, they're going to advertise your festival, you know.
Exactly.
So if you are not accepted anywhere, and if you are accepted in this small festival, you're going to share it on social media and you're going to promote these guys, you know, you're going to promote this festival. And that's a business model, you know, that's happening a lot. So there are some festivals that they accept bad work in order to have more publicity to their festival, which is insane, you know. Thinking about it's such an evil strategy.
It is, man, because it's not about the craft, and it's about getting butts in the seat, or it's about getting numbers, and then the really, you know, side that you call evil about it is just you're getting our hopes up, right? You're making us think that, you know, we're getting into this family, into this film community that accepts our work, and really you were just trying to get my little $40 and my mom and my dad to come to your festival, right? So
it can get really weird.
It's even I'm even concerned about talking about this and talking about how that works, because maybe some people hear it, you know, this podcast, and they think to themselves, "Oh, this is so easy. I'm just gonna create a festival in my basement." And you know.
Oh my Lord, yeah, you're right. No, we'll end it with that. We're gonna get more into it, you know, when we're not recording, man. But and after we send each other our work, man, and I'm looking forward to building on this relationship. You guys just witnessed two filmmakers, you know, meeting each other and getting to know each other. I'm so glad we did this, man. So you just make sure by the end of the night. I don't know what time it is over there. Isn't it like 9 p.m. or something? It's like 8 p.m. over there. 9
p.m.
Yeah, by the end of the night, I'll send you the email with my links. You send me yours once you get my email, and we'll this is just the beginning, man. Maybe in a week or so, we'll talk some more and go from there, man. All right, I got homework. I gotta watch Climax, Irreplaceable, Victoria. I got homework to do, man.
Oh, you didn't tell me about your favorite filmmakers. Just before wrapping up, can you tell me about your favorite films?
Yeah, man. I'm glad you said that. I do have a part where I normally ask those questions too, but I wanted us to dig into. But my canned message whenever I say what my favorite movies are is it's A Beautiful Mind. It stars Russell Crowe and Ron Howard directed it. I really appreciated that movie for a lot of reasons. I really the really big spin at the end, and I think that I'm very, like I told you, I can be like analytical, I can be very over perfectionist, and his story of watching him turn crazy, like I wanted to believe him, especially the first time. I really wanted to believe him, only to realize that it's because, you know, we all kind of deal with that thing of like, are we going to entertain our ego, or are we going to kind of be humble and, you know, just be good to the people around us, right? You know, or do you feel like sometimes you feel like you're here to do these great grand things? And I saw so much of myself in that character, and I love Ron Howard's work, man. I think that he's such a character-driven director. He came from right, exactly, because he came from Happy Days and the Andy Griffith Show.
In the beginning, we were talking about directors that don't change style, and we were trying to think about directors. Directors that change style, but Ron Howard actually, any of his films is, you know, the same. He changes a lot. You know, it might be a sci-fi, it might be a horror.
Right. So. Right, yeah, and those happen. You know, I was thinking about Spielberg when you said that. You know, he does Jaws, but then he does Indiana Jones, but then he did, you know, the black and white movie, you know, about the Jewish community, about the Holocaust. I forgot the name of that, but you know, like it happens. But again, it is still kind of through a particular lens. You know, it's still very Spielbergian. It's still very Ron Howard-esque, right? But yeah, I always say that A Beautiful Mind. I'm a big sci-fi geek and superhero geek, and I love what Zack Snyder did to Watchmen. Now, I know that he has not been the most favorite as of recent. He does a lot of splashy, you know, kind of gimmicky stuff. But in that movie, I really enjoyed that graphic novel, and I appreciated that movie for what it was. I think it's a case study on not just on who superheroes are, but who we are as people, and different versions of us trying to be heroic, of trying to be the better side of each other. But then how when you're trying to do good, you can be the biggest villain to the next person, right? So I kind of appreciate it for that. And then most recently, I did a really cool breakdown. I did an instant analysis of the movie because it blew my mind, and that was Judas and the Black Messiah. It was directed by Shaka King, and it was produced by Ryan Coogler. There's a burgeoning Black American film movement that's occurring. You know, the past 5 to 10 years that has been very encouraging for Black Americans, feeling like we have a voice, and growing up. The things that happen in America to blacks regarding, after slavery, there was Jim Crow laws. There was a lot of, police brutality and, redlining, a lot of policy, that a lot of invisible glass ceilings that were keeping us away, a lot of conspiracy theories that we only talk about in our community. We only talk about these things amongst ourselves because we're afraid of putting that stuff out there because of the repercussions that'll happen, right? If we say the evil things that happen to us, then we're afraid that we won't get our films made, or we're afraid that we won't get our stories told. And Judas and the Black Messiah is about one of my favorite figures. I talk about the X-Files poster up on my wall, but also up on my wall downstairs is this guy, is the lead character named Fred Hampton. And he was a 21-year-old black kid from Chicago that was a part of this Black Panther chapter. The Black Panther Party was this political movement. There was a social political movement of Black Americans that were trying to fight against police brutality and poverty. And the CIA, and J. Edgar Hoover, they very strategically started a program called COINTELPRO, and they were afraid after they killed Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, after Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were assassinated. All right, we'll just say that. I won't say who did it, but there was a outright how do you say, they did not want a Black Messiah. They did not want another Black leader to stand up. And this young, powerful 21-year-old kid, he had so much potential, and they strategically placed a secret agent inside of their program and got him killed. And they told that story. And I was just so happy. I mean, the movie is great, but I was just so I was in tears the entire movie because I just could not believe that this was being put out there. I just was like, I can't, I thought that we weren't allowed to talk about this stuff, So, those are some of my favorite films.
Yeah, I've never seen that film. I gotta point it out. Maybe you can send me a message after we go.
Yeah, I'll give you the name of it in the email. I will.
Yeah, man. My favorite films, I've talked about it already. Mm-hmm. Victoria from Sebastian Schipper. Mm-hmm. It's a one take, and it's a new form of cinema for me. They accomplished something completely different. They only shot 3 takes, and
right.
And every take is different. There is a different story in every take. And
really?
Yeah, it's So the act, obviously there is the same structure, like the first, second, and third acts. They all have their they know what the actors know what they need to do in each scene, but they improvise a lot, and they are completely free to create different emotions and feelings. And I think that's a really good exercise for an actor. And I would love to work with actors in that way. So Victoria is like definitely in the top of my list.
Cool.
And then Into the Wilds, man. Into the Wild was a film that, I don't know if you've seen it or not, from Sean Penn, with Eddie Vedder as a composer. Into the Wild, yeah. It's a story of this guy that was...
Sean Penn directed it.
Sean Penn, yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, I haven't watched it. I got to check it out.
Yeah, Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. He's the guy that does the soundtrack.
Okay, cool.
Man, and Into the Wild changed my life, man. When I saw that film, I just wanted to travel and and discover the world. And I actually did it.
Yeah.
I actually did it. So that's the power of cinema, you see? Like, that's how a film can change your life. I've seen that film. I put my backpack and I traveled the world.
Been going ever since.
And
that's beautiful.
And still today, even though I don't relate so much to the character, I think I grew up a bit more, like I went through what the character went, but I still look at this film and I still get motivated to experience life, so you should definitely give it a go one of these days, man. It's a great film.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord. I got to watch it, man. Just you saying how impactful it was. I'm looking forward to that. And Victoria, I've only seen like little clips because it's just so famous. I only seen like little parts on YouTube and stuff. So I gotta watch it now. You've made me sit down and really want to watch it now. So cool, man. So those are your two faves that you put up there?
Yeah, I think those are I mean, obviously as a director, and I'm pretty sure you have like some directors as well that you really, you like their work, but there is any particular film that I can tell you. But for example, Andrea Arnold is a big influence. I don't know if you know Andrea Arnold. Is a British female director.
What's her first name?
Andrea Arnold.
Andrea.
She did American Honey, Fish Tank. And I really like the way she directs. She really sticks to the details, she shoots the moment, and she tells the story with details, which is, so maybe the scene like this, she has maybe a 5-minute scene, and it's just, these two kids riding a horse in silence. There is any dialogue, but throughout the 5 minutes you are super entertained,
Wow.
And it's amazing to achieve that, as a director,
Right.
A 5-minute scene without any dialogue, just an action, and you can build up a story with that. So Andrea Arnold is definitely my favorite director, man.
That's great. I mean, that's what it's all about, having the ability to have a visual language, just having to have a poignant visual language. You show, don't tell. Did they say that a lot in your film school? Show, don't tell. And I think that what's that?
What film school did you go to?
I went to two. So I went to Art Institute of Washington, that's in Virginia. And then I went to SCAD, Atlanta, which is in Atlanta, Georgia. But actually, it has campuses. Both of those schools have campuses throughout the world because they're private. So
yeah, I was looking into UCLA.
Yeah, man, that's the big leagues, man. I have a friend that went to USC, and what I really appreciated her saying on the episode that we did, that she said that when she watches my films, she was in awe at, the high concepts and the money and everything that it took to put it together. At USC, even though it's a great curriculum, it's strong, having that degree means everything to a lot of people, but she didn't necessarily, she said it's very competitive there. And it's really hard to get a movie made there because you have to compete to get into cool classes that you want to get into. And then you have to compete to get particular funding and to get people on your projects and stuff. And everybody's kind of nipping at each other's heels trying to get their projects made. So actually, you know, she's like, when I'm thinking of how to make a film, I'm thinking of like, how can I get it done? It's simply in, you know, and without any drama. And it can be a little more stifling versus me going to a schools that weren't as big. And I go into I probably go into all of my projects very naive. I'm like, I want to make, you know, I want to make somebody explode, you know, and I don't know how to do it. I was like, I don't know how to do it. And then I go about all these ways to how to make the person explode, only to find out that like it costs millions and millions of dollars to make it happen and all this manpower to make it happen. But then I figure it out, man. I figure it out. I do my own little version of it somehow, you know, I didn't even say, guys, we got to, before we end this, the death scene. The death scene when Oscar dies, right? When he gets shot. Yeah. So without me giving away too much information, that is what was the crux of my thesis film. Like that scene, like it impacted me so much that the original script was really all about experiencing you know, the thoughts after death, you know, or as you're dying. And the original script was supposed to kind of be this POV of someone dying and then somebody that they love kind of finding out about it. That was the original script. It ended up becoming what it ended up becoming. But I can't wait for you to watch the film and so you'll know the scene. You'll know the scene. And let me know what you think. Yeah.
When I see it, I'm gonna know where did it came from. You know, like I'm excited to see that, man. Cool. Man, what was your thesis about? Blade Runner, right? No.
Not well. The thesis paper is about Blade Runner. So the paper and the film are a little synonymous in that it's dealing with this. These, did I say this before? It's these two sisters that have these enhanced powers, and they have to break out of this detainment center because the world is kind of militarizing against them. So I was just trying to figure out how to fantastically deal with you know, humanity kind of thing. You know, just in. Let me know what you think. I know what I was trying to do. You let me know what you think when I send it to you.
It's already a good starting point that you know what you're trying to do. You know,
yeah, it's a good starting point.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, I know some directors. Okay, no, go on. No, I was just gonna say I know some directors that they don't even know what they are trying to do, and sometimes there is a good surprise. There is something good happening, you know, and it's a good experiment.
It's like experiencing the journey with the filmmaker kind of thing.
Documentary, you know, like documentary. This happens. You follow, you find the story through the process. I like to start my projects with a story already in my mind.
Right.
But anyway, go on, man.
Nah, man. No, it's been beautiful, man. Like I said, this is just the beginning, man. I got a new friend, guys. I have a new buddy. Vasco, thank you so much, man. I'll go ahead and sign off. But like I said, I'm going to email you my projects. Oh, hold on. Did I mute myself? I'm going to email you my projects and you email me yours. And within the next week or two, we'll talk again, okay?
Okay, man. Sounds good, man. I'm excited to see it.
Yes, man. All right, boss. You take care of yourself, man.
Take care, man. Thank you for this. It was great to talk.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye.
Find all our content on thenewfilmosophy.com.